In 2025, the wings are the most dangerous place on the pickleball court. Gabe Tardio proves that with his forehand from the right side, and if you can't attack backhands on the bounce from the left, you're not playing modern pickleball. First and foremost, you have to have a two-handed backhand. Players used to get by using only a one-handed slice, but no longer. Ben Johns is a perfect example. From 2017 through early 2024, he was pretty much exclusively using a one-handed backhand, but passive one-handed dinks just aren't cutting it anymore. What did he do? He adjusted and added a second hand to have more offensive weapons from the kitchen line. If you don't have a two-handed backhand, check out my two-handed backhand tutorial. When we have a dead dink on the left side, we need to take a look at what our opponents are doing. Are they holding their ground or are they sliding? Holding their ground means staying central in the box at the kitchen and not heavily favoring either the backhand or the forehand side.
New Jersey to even extend that rally, but the
sliding means repositioning our body and sliding towards the sideline so that we really only need to cover our backhand. This is going to be the main thing that we need to evaluate because it completely changes our attacking patterns when going in front of us or anywhere else on the court.
Yeah! That's just able to get around that. Didn't hit it perfectly.
Taking a look at the rankings and only considering players that primarily play the right, Gabe tends to slide to the backhand, Christian slides, Dylan holds position, Colin definitely slides, Deckel holds, Pablo and CJ hold, Tyson slides, Riley holds, Matt slides, and I tend to slide. As you can see, sliding is slightly more common than holding position. So, in order to play an aggressive left, you need to know what type of player is in front of you and adjust your shots accordingly. We're going to talk about spots to hit when your opponents hold position first, followed by different options available when they're sliding. The number one problem with instructional videos on YouTube is how the advice actually applies to you. There's no one-size-fits-all advice, and I'm solving that problem by creating the transition zone. We're launching in early 2026, and you can lock in the best price forever by becoming a founding member. Founding members' spots are limited and will save you hundreds of dollars over the next couple of years. And if you don't love it, you don't pay, plain and simple. 4 skill levels, 8 core skills, and 5 pillars of each skill, and one definitive plan to make you better at pickleball. Join today by heading to tzpickleball.com. The main drawback with holding their ground from the defending side is that they need to cover both their forehand and their backhand, which is difficult to do. So how do I attack a player that's holding their position? First, we have the obvious down the line shot. You need to be able to hit this ball hard enough and precisely enough because if they're able to get a forehand counter, you're in a lot of trouble. Personally, I see the down the line attack as an investment. You hit this shot so that your opponent knows that they have to cover it. Even if you lose the point where you hit the down the line speed up, your opponent is thinking about that the next time you go to attack, and it opens up other, more safe options. Next is a ball right at the chicken wing or at the right hip of the target. Since your opponent is holding position, it's easier to pinpoint this spot. If you can catch them there, you can expect a weak reply most of the time. Right at the body is just about the worst spot you can go when your opponent is holding their position. They're likely going to be able to crush the counterattack right back at you. I'd really only go for this shot when I'm trying to overwhelm them with pace or just go for a full bag. The middle shot is a bit tougher too, since the player in front of you isn't moving away from the middle and the player diagonally from you should be covering that middle. If you do go middle, I would recommend hitting more towards the person in front of you and less towards the person shifting over and covering the middle because that's their forehand side over there. Playing cross-court from this position doesn't really make too much sense. I'm not opposed to cross-court speed-ups by any means, but it's not smart to do it when your opponents are holding their position. It really only makes sense for this to happen when the person diagonal from us is either out of position or has to cover multiple different spots. Now, things change significantly if your opponent slides, which is the majority of cases. If your opponent slides and sits on their backhand, the down-the-line speed-up becomes a more enticing option because they're selling out towards their backhand. And if you can make them hit a forehand, which you have a little bit less margin to go with, it's basically guaranteed to work pretty well.
Right out.
What you want to avoid is hitting directly at their backhand because that's what they're totally ready for. If you make this mistake, you're pretty much also guaranteed to eat it. A great play is to go across their body. Since the player is moving to their right and the ball is over to their left, oftentimes they won't be able to put much power behind the counterattack from this position. If the player in front of you slides and the player diagonally from you doesn't cover, the middle should be pretty much wide open. If the diagonal player does cover the middle, you probably want to avoid the middle, but you can try to jam them on the forehand side or hit an aggressive cross-court dink. So, as you can see, we have a lot of options if we have a two-handed backhand attack. Here's a quick drill that I do to work on the execution of these shots. I'll set up cones in each of the different targets: down the line, chicken wing, body, cross body, middle, forehand jam, and cross-court angle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Trying to make my preparation look the exact same every time. I'll aim for each of these cones. As the ball is being fed, I'll have somebody call out the cone and the corresponding target, which helps with deception of the shot and reacting to what your opponents give to you.
2, 6, 7, 1, 3, 4, 1.
So in order to play an aggressive left, you've got to know what type of player is in front of you and adjust your shots accordingly. And if you don't already have a two-hander, it's not too late. Watch this video.